So you have to give enormous credit to Mikel Arteta for the way he set his team up. What we're going to do here is take a look at their formation. It's very, very simple and structured, and they kept it all game long. Real Madrid are out at the hands of Arsenal in the Champions League, and it really wasn't even close. In this video, what we're going to do is break down the tactics of both teams, the approaches that the managers took. We'll spend a little time touching on those two VAR situations in the first half because they were a complete mess. And then we'll address the second half because that's when the goals were scored and really when Arsenal impressively kept Real Madrid at arm's length. So welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. All right, so after the first leg that Arsenal won 3-0, we knew that Real Madrid were going to try and launch the remontada, this giant comeback, the Bernabeu, the magic, the way that they've done this in the past, the history, all of that was on the table, and they were going to need to have a very aggressive, direct approach in order to actually pull this off. So Carlo Ancelotti ditched the 4-4-2 from the first leg, went with a more traditional 4-3-3 with Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Bellingham in the midfield, and the idea was to be very aggressive from the very start of the match, and there were tackles flying in all over the place, to be fair, from both teams, but Real Madrid were far more aggressive than we saw them in the first leg, and the idea was to win balls like that and then be able to launch quick attacks on the end of it. Here, Vinny Jr. playing a ball across, Mbappe offside, chesting in at the back post, but you can see this is 2 minutes into the game, and this signals the intent. Arsenal dealt with this pretty well, but it was interesting to actually see guys like Vinny Jr. coming back and making a tackle here, Mbappe in a withdrawn position, so that when Real Madrid can win the ball, they can launch these speedy counterattacks. The only problem is this is 80 yards of running. At a certain point in the game, it starts to break down. And again, Arsenal were clearing these balls out a lot of the time. Now, I mentioned the aggressiveness. I mean, some of the tackles, especially Rudiger. I mean, Rudiger was having one of those very Rudiger days where he goes and steps on people and bumps them in the back and kind of looks like a maniac. But this kind of intensity was desperately needed from Real Madrid. The idea was to really rattle Arsenal's cage, see if you can keep players from having any time on the ball. Bellingham slides in, then Vinny goes in and tries to win the tackle. Partey gets away with the ball, but watch Vinny. He keeps going, and he and Bellingham double up on Odegaard, win the ball off him, and then they're able to attack again. So in a lot of ways, Real Madrid did exactly what they were supposed to do, and they did it pretty well. The thing is that Arsenal had a fantastic game plan, and it really neutered everything Real Madrid tried to accomplish. So you have to give enormous credit to Mikel Arteta for the way he set his team up. What we're going to do here is take a look at their formation. It's very, very simple and structured, and they kept it all game long. Here you can see the back four. It's very neatly organized. The spacing between the players is perfect. And then screening the back line, you have Rice and Partey. Mikel Merino would drop in next to Odegaard, and that would create a box in midfield. Then you had Saka and Martinelli dropping in to help with the overlapping fullbacks, Alaba and Vasquez, and also just helping out with Vinny and Rodrigo or maybe Mbappe in the wide areas. And this worked very well. The idea from Arsenal was to try and funnel Real Madrid out to the wide areas, keep them out of the middle, and see if you can force them to cross balls into the box. And here, Vinny crossing a ball in, Kivior easily heading it away. Over the course of the match, Arsenal had 10 blocks and 37 clearances. They also gave up 10 corners, which basically suggests that they were forcing Real Madrid into wide areas, blocking the crosses and giving up corners, or if they weren't blocking the crosses, they were heading the ball away. And anytime Real Madrid were shooting from central areas, they were blocking those shots. And as you can see, Bukayo Saka coming back to put in a tackle on Vinny Jr., and Arsenal can get away. This defensive solidity was there throughout for Arsenal. At no point did they really look rattled, and they would just shift across, keep their shape, make it very hard for Real Madrid to actually find something. Here you can see Martinelli dropping in on Lucas Vasquez to make sure he doesn't have time, and that means that he's got support from Miles Lewis-Skelly, and basically Real Madrid have to go back. And you would start to see Real Madrid do things like this. Cross balls in that they don't have the players in the box to actually win, or the balls were bad like that one. Keep in mind, Thibaut Courtois at the end of the game said, "We were really missing Joselu because we couldn't find someone from crosses in the box." No wonder. Arsenal were winning all of these balls. And then when they counterattacked, they were dangerous. So that's the other side of Arteta's plan, is what do we do when we actually win the ball? So they would keep the spaces tight, win the ball, and then they would start to break away. It was always first the wingers giving an outlet down the side because David Alaba and Lucas Vasquez were surging forward. And then once Arsenal got into the attacking half, they had the composure to actually put their foot on the ball, try and combine and create chances. And once again, Bukayo Saka was just a handful. Here's Alaba trying to get a hold of him, trying to block a shot and slide. Gets done, and Saka gets the shot off. Courtois makes the save. The other thing about Arsenal is they did a great job of getting forward and getting into Real Madrid's half and then establishing possession. Here, Martinelli playing a ball forward into Rice, who instead of dropping way deep, got himself in an advanced position. And once again play Odegaard on the side, who connects with Saka. Nice little combination here. But overall, those were the plans, and they kind of just kept going like that all game. I'll get into the second half in just a sec, but first, we have to address these two penalty incidents with VAR. So at this point, the referee and the VAR take center stage. Now take a look at the clock. It says 8:07. This is when Rice would take his free kick, and Asensio would foul Marino. So you can see right there, Marino running in behind, Asensio clearly bringing him down. The ball gets caught by Courtois. Now, watch the Arsenal players. Nobody is appealing. Absolutely nobody. Nobody is complaining. So play continues. And we go down the other end, and Real Madrid launch an attack, and then Arsenal win it, and they launch an attack. And once the ball gets played out, the referee puts his hand up, stops play, and says, hold on a second, I've got to go take a look at the monitor. Yeah, see that sign? I've got to go check. Look at the clock now, 9:28. So basically a minute and a half has passed, and this is what they were looking at. And look, it is a foul. I mean, he's holding him, he's bringing him down. But here's my question. Is Marino coming anywhere near this ball? Like, is he going to be challenging that ball right there for Courtois? I don't think so. If you're waiting a minute and a half to re-referee the incident and review it, you gotta have something a little better than this. So this just felt like re-refereeing the game, and it would have an immediate impact. Although Saka would miss the penalty kick and it stays 0-0, Real Madrid will get a chance of their own just a few moments later. Ball gets whipped in on a corner, gets nodded away by Arsenal, and then it gets crossed in. There's a flick header, Mbappe's at the back post, and he goes down under the pressure of Declan Rice. Penalty awarded by the referee. Rice gets a yellow card. So we take another look at it again, and you can see right there Rice has a hold of Mbappe. And the ball's long gone, and he's still holding on to him. And now Mbappe just goes, you know what, fine, I'm falling down. I mean, look at the still image. It's pretty clear he's grabbing him, and Mbappe doesn't have a hold of his shirt, so this can only go one way, and a penalty makes sense. So why did we have to wait 5 minutes for them to actually make a decision on this? 4 minutes of that was everyone just standing around waiting, and then finally the referee goes over to the monitor, looks at it, and takes away his call. The part that drives me insane about this is that the referee didn't award the penalty for the Marino incident. And then after a minute and a half, the VAR said, well, you made a mistake a while back there, so you should probably correct that. So he does. And then the same type of scenario happens, the exact same type of foul. This time he's like, well, I gotta even it up, so he calls the penalty. And somehow, for some reason, VAR decide, well, we're actually going to look at this 427 times and make sure it's not offside and all that stuff, and then we're going to send you over to the monitor again. All right, so moving into the second half, Carlo Ancelotti had to be a little disappointed that the overall intensity and work rate from the first half didn't really pay off. And the problem with this is that they just got more and more tired, and this opened up space and time for Arsenal. Right here in the 55th minute, there was a period of time where Arsenal had the ball for so long that the Olays were coming out of the Arsenal supporters. And as soon as Real Madrid were finally able to win this ball, to them it was go. We need to attack quickly. So now the counterattack is launched. Vinny Jr. gets it. He starts to run forward, gets tackled, Bellingham gets it and plays it to him, and Vinny is going to take a shot here. Bellingham here is checking in. The ball gets shot by Vinny through a crowd, and look at Bellingham and Mbappe's reactions here. Like, head down, like, seriously, dude? And Arsenal actually just run away and go up in the other direction. Look, Vinny walking. And now Arsenal, as they come into Real Madrid's half, even though there's a lot of space here and they could really counter and go hell for leather to score, instead, they slowed things down, and they would just hold the ball in Real Madrid's half, force them to try and run after it. And at this point in the game, you really saw a dip in Real Madrid's energy and desire to really press every single ball. And these counterattacks were really wearing them down. Here, Thibaut Courtois gets it, rolls it out to Valverde, and look at Valverde. But then he plays a ball, and Rice intercepts it. And so all of this energy from Mbappe, from Vinny, even Rodrigo, to run up the field ends up being wasted. And Arsenal were dealing with this great and eventually would get the goal. Now, one thing that I didn't really notice until later in the game, which was clearly part of Arteta's plan, is that Arsenal did not build out like at all. Almost everything from David Raya went long, and it's very, very evident by his passing map. If you take a look, there are a lot of long passes here. And look, it makes sense from Arteta's point of view. If you just bypass the press, then you take away a lot of what Real Madrid were trying to do. If you build out and make mistakes and Real Madrid score goals, you really energize the team and the crowd, and Arteta wanted to do none of that. And in the end, it actually helped create the goal that really killed the tie. David Raya hits the ball long. Marino, a very good target to play. He goes ahead and heads it on. Saka is onside and he gets in. Now, as Saka collects the ball and plays it back to Odegaard, you can see that it's Rudiger actually marking Saka. Now, there's a couple mistakes that happen here, and the first one is to let Odegaard run free. As Declan Rice is wide open and receives the ball, Tchouaméni goes out to him. That's good, but watch Odegaard. He's just going to run right in between Mbappe and Bellingham, and no one's going to follow him. And Bellingham points at him like, someone mark him. No, dude, that's you. You are the closest one, so you should go to the ball. Merino pops out to receive it, turns and looks up, and the ball to Saka is very obvious. And he's onside here. So Rudiger needs to just run with him. Instead, Rudiger sort of tries to hold it and play him offside, not realizing that Valverde is dropping the entire offside line a couple yards anyway. So it's an easy ball through. Saka gets there before Courtois, chips it over him, and that was pretty much the tie over. But the funny thing is Real Madrid showed a little bit of life, and this is when it really dawned on me that I did not see Raya and Arsenal go short all game. One of the very few times that they did, Raya rolls the ball out, Saliba is not ready, doesn't really look and see Vinny coming, loses the ball to him. Vinny does a good job of tackling and balancing himself just enough to put the ball on target and in, and Real Madrid for a few seconds there were like, yeah, it's on. But Arsenal were just too slick. They were too good on the ball, too composed, and Odegaard was fantastic throughout the match. What I loved about Arsenal is that they had bravery throughout the whole game on the ball. No one looked scared despite the pressure, and Miles Lewis-Skelly here just taking the ball 50 yards forward, getting out of the back, getting in the midfield, shaking off the pressure of 3 or 4 players, and when he's tackled, Rice is there to pick up the pieces, play it into Trossard, and look at Martinelli getting into the front line. He makes himself available, Odegaard's on the backside, and this is just too easy for Arsenal, and it was happening repeatedly. I mean, this is just one of many chances. The Real Madrid fans were really getting that sinking feeling like there's nothing we can do, and then eventually the nail in the coffin. Martinelli scores the goal, so it's a cross out here. I just love seeing the way Martinelli takes off running here. Look at where he is right now when he starts, and Fran Garcia, the left back, is the player he is going to run right past in order to score. So let's just watch Martinelli run at like 4 times speed. It's hilarious. I don't think the effort from Garcia was very good, but the finish from Martinelli, terrific. Arsenal win and knock Real Madrid out of the Champions League. Very impressive from Arsenal. But as for Real Madrid, this may be the end of the Carlo Ancelotti era. And look, they put up a decent fight in this second leg, but the way they played in the first one was always going to get them done against a team like Arsenal. So the magic didn't work this year. And on we go to the semifinals. Congratulations to Arsenal fans. Thanks everyone for stopping by. Enjoy this breakdown. I'm Sebastian North. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.